Welcome to the Junk Whisperer, the next dumbest channel on YouTube. We haven't posted in a while because there's been a lot of things going on in my life and, well, I just haven't had time. Today, we're going to try to rebuild this lock cylinder, and I'm going to show you that instead of paying $100 to a locksmith to do it, you can likely do it yourself. Now, y'all saw the video of the XT and what I got back after it was stolen. Well, it was stolen again after that, and I got it back again, rekeyed it, and then somebody stole my keys. So I had to buy another set of locks. I got an ignition here and one door lock, and then I got this trunk lock, and the key doesn't work in this lock. So what we're going to do is we're going to take it apart, see what's going on, and see if we can't either fix it or recode it to the proper, so that this key will work. And it's not a difficult task. I've done it before, and we can make it work today in this video, hopefully. So as you can see, this came from an East Coast car. It is quite corroded on the outside, and I have a feeling that it's locked up internally and it just needs to be cleaned up. Maybe something got in there, some gunk. I haven't sprayed any chemicals in there, but what I'm going to show you is how to take it apart. Now, what you're going to need is a small screwdriver, flathead, and there's some tabs on here, one on each side, and you're going to bend those out a bit, like so. And we'll do this side facing the camera so that you guys can see it. And there's the cap. And supposedly this should just come right off. But because of corrosion, it might fight us a little bit, as I almost lose a chunk of my finger there. We'll use a little bit more love on this. There we go. And the lock should theoretically come right out. Oh yeah, it's corroded for sure. That should not be that difficult to pull out. Yeah, that's frozen for sure. I bet you just taking this apart. Oh yeah, I can see it already. So instead of actually recoding this, I think I'm just going to clean it up real quick, and we will reposition this to outside where I can spray this down. So here we go. I'm just going to use a lubricant real quick and see if I can't free up the wafers that are inside. And if I can, then we can see what's going on here. Now this is my favorite lubricant, and I think I'm just about out of it. It's Ballistol. I use it on everything. It's kind of expensive. If I remember correctly, that can is about $12. But it lasts a really long time, and I've never run out. Yeah, so it looks like actually this might not be the right key for this lock. So what we'll have to do is play with these tumblers a little bit. Oh yeah, that one's completely frozen up. So we'll get a little bit more lube on here. Really need to put together a workshop for you guys so you're not seeing me do weird shit outside. My neighbors are probably going, what the hell is that guy doing outside at this hour? Okay, folks, so what we got here is some wafers that are here that are locked up tight, and these wafers are individual. So if you, that one might be better to push through, but you want them to be able to move freely, and if they can't move freely, then they can't unlock the door because they ride in a channel on the inside of here. When it's locked, as you can see, there's a channel and it slides in, and when you stick the key in, it's supposed to move them all flat. You can see I got one back here that doesn't want to go, or that doesn't seem to match this key. This one doesn't seem, but those seem all frozen up, so it could be that they're just frozen. There's no reason to believe that this car got rekeyed, that I got this lock cylinder out of, so it could just be locked up. Oh yeah, very much so. With the amount of pressure I had to apply on that. Move these around a little bit, and you can tell that the ones that I just played with are not happy. So we're going to go ahead and try to push them through, and you can tell which ones go which way. Now, this lock might be beyond saving, but I don't think so. So what you would do is push them through from the bottom. Oh boy, that bad boy is frozen solid. I'm going to work on this off camera a little bit. I'll be right back. Okay folks, so after struggling with this thing and cleaning it up and trying to make it look good and getting these wafers out, it appears that everything is pretty good frozen solid in here, and I'm not going to be able to get those wafers out. So what I'm going to try next is a little bit of apple cider vinegar in a tub. I'm going to use that. I'm going to put this in there along with a rusty bolt that I've got here, because apple cider vinegar will eat the corrosion right off of this stuff, and if I come back to it in an hour or two, hopefully it will have freed itself up a little bit, because the apple cider vinegar will creep in there and eat away at the rust. And this bolt will end up coming out looking pretty darn new, and potentially even freed up a little bit when we're done. Apple cider vinegar is a secret to this channel's existence. Anytime I've ever had rusted tools, rusted bolts, nuts, whatever, I spray it down with apple cider vinegar, and it tends to be the key to make it look great. I have a friend of mine that told me this trick, and what he does is every time he does a project on his car, all the rusty bolts, nuts, and fasteners end up going in vinegar for a night, and then he paints them when they come out so that they look like brand new bolts. And I tell you what, I always thought it was a little odd that he did that, but now, you know, I'm a little older, and I realized, man, that's a great idea for one, making sure everything looks good, and two, long term, it prevents decay. Painting might be an extra step, but if you've got rusty nuts and bolts and fasteners, it will spread. Okay folks, here we are. About 30 minutes later, I've soaked this down, and I'm going to give it a quick wipe down just to see how much corrosion came off. This has only been in for a few minutes, but it looks quite a bit better so far. And I might, oh yeah, look at that. And inside doesn't look terrible, although it is quite gummy. So I'm just going to clean this up here and clean it up there. And again, this doesn't have to be perfect. We're just kind of cleaning up some of the junk that's built up over the years. And as you can see, there is a bit of gunk in there, probably from graphite or lubricant or whatever was used at some point to try to free this up. So, a little bit more in here. As you can see, I'm just scraping it out with the edge of my flathead screwdriver here. Set that back in there. Now, as for the lock itself, it is mostly freed up. We still have one that is sticking a bit, but it moves a bit better now. And mind you, they only have small springs that are pushing on these things, so it's very possible that I need to, and what you do, see how they've got a long end here and a short end there, so you will, and then it's the opposite on the other side. So what you would do is on the short end here, you would just push on it. This is going to require a little bit of force because it's still a bit stuck, so I'm going to do it like this. Put it up against my pliers here. Stick my flathead in there and just push it through. Now be careful because there is going to be a spring here. You can maybe see it here if my camera is zoomed properly. And you can see that there is a bunch of corrosion buildup here on this wafer. So to clean this wafer up, now I imagine that you can buy these wafers in certain stores and or online and make and rekey this entire lock. But I'm on a budget here. I really don't want to spend too much money on this car, but I do want to make it drivable again, which it is not thanks to, I've got a fur ball there, which is not thanks to somebody deciding that they needed my keys more than I did. So I was able to find someone who had a set of keys online, and this is where being in the forum, especially if you have an oddball car, comes in handy. And the XT is definitely an oddball. So, clean that up quite a bit there. Soak it back in the vinegar for a second. And we may also be finding a worn out key, so we might cheat on this project a little bit. And in the end, we'll make our car a little less secure, but nevertheless, it'll still be secure enough. So, yep, push that bad boy back in. Oh, and it's moving mostly freely now. There we go. See how it's now moving freely, where just a few moments ago it was not. And we stick the key in, and we still have two wafers here that are sticking out, so that could mean that the key is worn, that could mean that the wafer's wrong, could mean that this thing has been rekeyed at some point in its life. I'm going to go with the fact that this key is worn because this key worked in all the other locks on the vehicle, and so I'm going to say that this is probably just a worn out key. And that can be solved by going to the locksmith and having him cut you a new key. And as you can see, this is still not 100% freed up, but it is quite a bit better. Yeah, it's still not freed up as best as I would like it to be. There's still some crap in here. And that happens over time when you add graphite and stuff. So it's moving up freely, but it's not as happy as it should be. So when you stick it back in your lock cylinder, like so, and then you try to turn it, it's not going to turn. So the cheater's way out of, well, the proper way to do it would be to get a new key that's properly cut to your VIN number and then try this again. But because we're in a hurry and we want to make sure that everything is as close to keyed as possible, what we're going to do is we're going to pop this wafer out here, and we're going to pop this wafer out here, because those were the two offenders that were hanging out. And see if we can't get these springs out of here so that they don't fall out at a later date. And pull it out. And if I ever get a proper key made, I can go back in and put this back together the proper way. And that one's not coming out. But now, as you saw before, it wouldn't turn because you still had keys wafers sticking out. Now there's no wafer sticking out, and it should. And all, oops, that's the ignition there. Give this a final wipe down. And if I had a Dremel, I would probably just, you know, wire whiz this up, make it look nice and pretty, but when it's in the vehicle, no one's ever going to see it because this is the trunk lock for an XT. Now we have a functioning lock. And in reality, we only took out 2 wafers. So while yes, the locksmithing lawyer is going to say that I removed a layer of security or I made it easier to pick this lock, this is a 1986 Subaru. If someone wants in it, they're going to get in it. It's super easy to use, just a simple, like a old worn out key, and you can break into these things all day long. Slide that back into place like so. Stick this bad boy back on, and then we take this and punch it down. And I'm going to cheat here a little bit more. And I'm going to come back over here. I'm going to cheat here. And now we got a nice, I don't remember where I put my key, a nice working turning lock. Whereas before, oh, it only turns one way. That's alright. I think it's only supposed to turn one way. I vaguely remember there being a lockout. Oh, there it goes. Oh yeah, so it is a worn out key. Yep, so it's a worn out key, so I'll have to get one made, and then I can put those wafers back in at some point. But at least it's working, and I'm going to grab another Subaru key that I have and just test it. Okay, so you just watched me remove some security from my vehicle by pulling a couple of wafers out of this lock, and it's not a good thing, but considering the rarity of this vehicle and the ability to find parts, in a hurry. That was just what I had to do to make this happen. Now, I'm going to go get a new factory cut key. I believe on this, maybe if it was still clean, I think that there was a key code stamped on it somewhere that I could go to Subaru and have it made. And I'm not seeing it anywhere on here. I think it was right there or right here, and maybe with a little bit more cleaning I can see it. And go get a new key made, and or maybe it was over here. I know that on one of these locks it's stamped on here in order to get a new key made, because I don't have the VIN number for the vehicle that this came off of. Otherwise I could potentially go to Subaru and get that done. So I'm going to lube all these locks up, and the next time you see me... Oh, now this one's not... Oh, there it goes. I was going to say, now this one wasn't working. I'm going to lube all these locks up, and the next time you see me, I will be installing them in my vehicle. Talk to you later. And thanks for watching all the way through.